The storm was too fierce, the wind of it too strong. Perhaps for his men's sake, he should have let the enemy escape. Take me if you must, Neptune, he prayed silently. Mine was the hubris. Let my men live. The rocky coast of Malta moved so quickly against the ship, one might forget the ship was in motion, not the island. The hull fragmented, like so much powdered incense cast over a sorcerer's conjuring fire. He stayed stoically in his command sedilia, staring at the powdering of his ship, as if a rock himself. He only managed it for a few seconds against inertia, but the final bit of defiance steeled his heart for what was to come. The rocky coast crashed hard against his mortal flesh. In a gruesome adding of insult to injury, the cold, earthy flavor of it was his last living sensation. Even as he passed into oblivion, the taste of the stone outcropping which penetrated his face lingered as his skull powdered apart along with his ship. Open your eyes. Caelius Septimus did as the voice commanded. It was a lovely voice, filled with calm serenity. Even as his eyes fluttered gently open, he heard her almost whispered command again, Open your eyes. Caelius looked at the stone wall before him, then turned gently to the left and to the right. Down the long corridor he peered. He was here again. Was it yesterday? No, long ago. 20 years, he whispered to himself. Shifting his shield from off his left shoulder, Caelius turned its shiny face towards himself. He gazed at his own blurry reflection and ran his fingers through his hair. It was black again, and quite a bit more of it. Returning his shield to its resting place, Caelius felt around for the handle of his gladius. The sword was still there. He gently walked to the blank wall at the far end of the corridor. As the wall drew closer, it was no longer blank. He went close to it and examined the strange markings, and the symbol jumped out at him again, just as it had 2 decades before. The feathered serpent carved into the wall seemed to almost flutter into flight with ancient life restored. Caelius ran his fingers over the chest plate of his armor and turned his face sharp down. The feathered serpent had so enraptured him that day, 20 years ago, that he made it the symbol of his unit when he rose to the rank of naval legate. It enchanted him with its ancient life. It was also the perfect blending of the 2 legion standards he long admired, the eagle and the dragon. Ominously, Caelius' gaze turned downward to the floor. The map was in his vision, too. It had enraptured his old rival, now enemy, those 20 years ago. It still captivated him. Caelius suddenly remembered where he was, or rather where he should be. He smacked his lips and moved his tongue around inside his mouth. The rocks were gone. He turned toward the narrow stairwell there, even as it once was, and climbed to the surface. The bright glow of the sun god's soul beat down upon him. Here, wherever that really was, even the sun was gentle and tender. Suddenly the rest of the vision faded into irrelevance. Now there was only her. My Lord Caelius. Her tone was as it had been before. He remembered her. Caelius fell to his knees before the goddess. You have appeared again. Your mortal mind remembers well. You were wounded and expected to die. When I was only 17, he muttered through moistened eyes. You told me my battle wasn't over. It is over now. She reached down her milky white hand. Come with me. Caelius became insistent. It's over. We won then. It is so, even as it was and shall be. Desperate to understand her meaning, Caelius dared to look up at her. She was as she had been, beautiful beyond words. Her golden hair swirled, dancing daintily about her head, keeping the tune of the nearly silent humming, the energy which irradiated and pushed along. Her blue eyes stared lovingly into his soul, contrasted by the peripheral shimmering of her impossibly white dress. My men, he stammered. Your friends will live and die as you taught them. Have faith. It is time to rest now. The fields of Elysium wait for you in the valley at the base of Olympus. Then I am dead. She slowly shook her head. You are truly alive now. Finally, Callias reached up and took her hand. Overwhelmed with her loveliness, he still managed to stand up. They turned and walked in no particular direction, arm in arm with the goddess now. A burst of energy hummed and consumed them. As the vision melted away into the fields of Elysium, Callias offered a final blessing to the friends who he left behind. Live well, brothers. Die with honor. Die with honor.